When two people share a chemistry so intense that it once ignited television screens around the world, even years later, the sparks never truly fade. And that's exactly what happened when Yaman came face to face with a moment he never expected, a moment that shook him to his core. It wasn't a confrontation, a message, or a reunion. It was something far more unexpected. It was Demet Özdemir's new love scene. And when Can saw it, his reaction said everything. The world knows their story, or at least, it thinks it does. Two rising stars in Turkey's entertainment world, brought together on screen, became a sensation across continents. From Istanbul to Rome, from Madrid to Sao Paulo, millions of fans fell in love not only with their characters but with the real people behind them, Can and Demet. The chemistry was undeniable, the connection electric. Every glance, every touch on screen felt real. Too real. But behind that magic was a fragile balance between love and professionalism. They were co-stars, but everyone knew there was more. Rumors began, fans obsessed, tabloids speculated, and yet neither of them ever gave a clear answer. What really happened between Yaman and Demet Özdemir? Years later, both have taken different paths. Can became one of the biggest stars in Italy, celebrated not only for his acting but also for his larger-than-life personality. Meanwhile, Demet continued her journey in Turkey, evolving into one of the most respected and versatile actresses of her generation. But no matter how far apart they've grown, the shadow of their shared past still follows them, and this time, it came back in the most unexpected way. It all started when a new Turkish drama premiered. Demet Özdemir was back on screen, playing a passionate, emotional role that once again reminded everyone why she's considered one of the best. But one scene in particular would change everything. A love scene that was both powerful and intimate. One that made headlines across social media within minutes. Fans were stunned. The comment sections exploded. And somewhere in Rome, so was Yaman. At first, no one knew if he had seen it. But that silence didn't last long. According to people close to Can, he didn't just see the scene, he couldn't stop watching it. He was reportedly filming in Italy when a friend showed him a clip that was already going viral. His reaction, they say, was instant. The confident, composed Yaman that fans knew suddenly went quiet. He watched the clip without saying a word, his jaw clenched, his eyes fixed on the screen. Those who were there describe a moment filled with emotion, not anger, not jealousy exactly, but something deeper. Shock. Maybe even heartbreak. Because for Can, that scene wasn't just acting. It was a reminder, a flashback to everything they had once shared, everything that was lost, and everything that could never be again. One source close to Can told a magazine, he wasn't prepared for it. He didn't expect to feel that way. It's been years, but when he saw her like that, it hit him hard. Soon after, fans began noticing something strange. Can, who was usually very active on social media, suddenly went silent. No new posts, no stories, no likes. His followers sensed something was off. He saw the scene, one fan wrote. "You can tell. His silence says it all." And they were right. Because silence, especially from someone as expressive as Yaman, often speaks louder than words. Meanwhile, Demet's scene was being praised everywhere. Critics called it one of her most mature performances yet. Directors admired her courage, her authenticity. But among all that applause, the whispers grew louder. Did Can see it? How did he react? Is he jealous? And then came the headline that broke the internet: Yaman loses control after watching Demet Özdemir's new love scene. It all began when Italian paparazzi caught him leaving a set in Rome, visibly emotional. Cameras captured him getting into his car, avoiding questions. The next day, he posted something cryptic on his Instagram story, a black background with only 3 words. "Some things burn." That was all it took. The internet exploded. Fans immediately connected the dots. Within hours, hashtags like #CanDemet, #SomeThingsBurn, and #DemetScene trended in multiple countries. People analyzed every detail. Was he talking about her? Was it about the scene? Or was it about something deeper, his own feelings? Some say Ken was hurt because the scene reminded him of what they once had. Others say it was pride, that he wasn't used to seeing Demet in someone else's arms, even if it was just acting. But those who know him best claim it wasn't about jealousy at all. It was about emotion, pure, raw emotion. Because for Ken, Demet wasn't just a co-star. She was the person who shared the most intense chapter of his career and maybe even his life. Watching her like that on screen, embodying love again, must have felt like watching a ghost from the past. What made things even more dramatic was what happened next. Just a few days after the video went viral, Ken was invited to an Italian talk show. Everything was normal, the usual light-hearted questions, his upcoming projects, his fitness routine, until the host brought up Demet's name. "Have you seen Demet Özdemir's new series?" the host asked with a knowing smile. The studio fell silent. Ken paused, took a deep breath, and then smiled faintly. "I have," he said softly. "She's talented. Always has been." The audience clapped. But that wasn't all. The host pushed further. "And what did you think about that scene?" For a second, the confident actor looked almost caught off guard. Then, after a long pause, he replied, "Let's just say, it reminded me why people fall in love with her." And with that, the internet exploded again. The clip went viral in less than an hour. Fans flooded social media with emotional posts. "He still loves her. You can hear it in his voice. That looks at everything." His words, calm, respectful, but loaded with emotion, reignited every theory, every rumor, every dream that fans had ever held on to. But behind the scenes, sources say Ken wasn't as calm as he looked on camera. According to insiders, he spent that night alone, turning off his phone and refusing to speak to anyone. "He's not angry," one friend said. "He's just nostalgic. Seeing her like that brought back everything. It's like time folded on itself." Meanwhile, Demet, who was aware of the viral storm, chose not to comment. When asked about Ken's reaction in a Turkish interview, she simply smiled and said, "Everyone reacts to art in their own way. I'm glad people are watching." That graceful answer, filled with calm confidence, only made fans more convinced that something deeper was happening between them, something unspoken, unresolved. The next few days saw hundreds of fan edits, clips comparing Ken's old looks at Demet during interviews to his new reactions. Edits of their on-screen kisses juxtaposed with her new scene, captioned with heartbreak songs, flooded TikTok and YouTube. "The pain in his eyes," one fan wrote. "He didn't lose control, he lost himself for a second." As the frenzy grew, even international tabloids started covering it. Italian outlets called it il momento più emotivo di Yaman's most emotional moment. Spanish media wrote, "El amor que nunca se olvidó." The love that was never forgotten. But what truly made everyone talk wasn't the drama, it was the humanity. Yaman, known for his strength, discipline, and charisma, had shown vulnerability. And that made people connect with him even more. The viral moment revealed something fans had always suspected. That beneath the fame and the headlines, there was still a real connection between Ken and Demet, one that fame, distance, and time had never completely erased. And perhaps that's why, weeks later, when asked again about the viral story, Ken finally spoke openly. During an Italian interview, the host jokingly said, "You nearly broke the internet with your reaction to Demet's new scene." This time, he didn't deflect. He looked straight into the camera and said, "I didn't lose control. I just remembered something real. Sometimes, that's harder than it looks." That moment silenced the room. It wasn't a denial. It wasn't an admission. It was something in between, the kind of honesty that hit straight to the heart. Fans couldn't stop talking about it. "He still has feelings," they wrote. "You can't fake that look." Others pointed out that Demet, shortly after that interview, liked an old fan post featuring both of them from their Urkenci Kus days, something she hadn't done in years. Coincidence? Maybe. But for fans who followed their story since the beginning, it felt like a silent echo of something still lingering between them. Now, weeks after the scene first aired, both stars have moved on with their careers. Yet, the emotional ripple of that moment continues. The world remains fascinated by the idea that two people who once shared such undeniable chemistry can still, somehow, affect each other so deeply without a single word. In the end, Yaman didn't need to shout or post dramatic messages. His reaction, the silence, the look, the short sentence on TV, said everything. Because sometimes, what's not said speaks louder than anything else. And for fans of Can and Demet, that moment reminded them of why their story has always felt different. It's not just about fame, or television, or gossip. It's about connection, the kind that doesn't fade with time, distance, or even other love scenes. Because when you've shared something that real, seeing it reflected back, even through a screen, can shake you to your core. And that's exactly what happened when Yaman saw Demet Özdemir's new love scene. The world may have seen just a reaction. But those who know the story behind those eyes saw something else, something raw, emotional, unforgettable. Because sometimes, even the strongest hearts lose control when love, old, buried, and unspoken, finds a way to resurface again.